Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online program where we get to have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives positively. Yes, this is me, Kemi Akiode Adebayo, aka Mama K. In today's program, which is a special series on business, I've got with me a dear sister friend, a visionary, an assertive, and very intelligent serial entrepreneur, Mrs. Ngozika Owei, fondly known as Ziggy. She's based in Cape Town, South Africa. My dear Ziggy sister, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mama K. Good morning. Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. Thank you.
It's a pleasure of us. Ziggy, Ngozika, come on, tell me, where is the name and where does Ngozika come from and what does it mean?
Okay, so my full name is Ngozika and it means the blessing of the Almighty is the greatest. So it's actually a very beautiful name.
The blessing of the
Almighty is the greatest, yes. Wow. So the full name is Ngozi Chukwuka, so we short it to Ngozika. And just take out Chukwu.
So it's Ngozi Chukwuka.
Yes.
Okay.
So the way we will call it is Ngozika, but we understand what it means. And then Ziggy came from my mom, actually. When I was very young, she would call me Zizi Girl. And so when I got into school, people would want to call me Zizi Girl, and I'm like, no, that's for my mom. And then it translated to Ziggy. It just stuck. Yes.
So Ngozika is from, I know you're from Nigeria, yes. So you're an Igbo.
I'm Igbo, yes.
Where specifically?
I'm from Anambra State.
Anambra
from
State?
Nnewi, precisely, yes.
Yes.
I've
read about Nnewi in books.
Oh, yes.
Famous for a lot of things.
Famous for business.
For business. When you see a serial entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Wow, famous for business. So you're from Nnewi, Anambra State.
Yes.
So tell us your lifestyle. Let's first start. What were you doing in Nigeria? Were you born in Nnewi or were you born elsewhere? Okay. And, what's your position in your family?
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Okay, so I was born in Lagos and...
Okay.
Exactly. So I lived in Lagos till I was 12 years old, and my parents were transferred to Port Harcourt. They both worked with oil companies at the time, and so we moved to Port Harcourt when I was 12. And so the rest of my life was in Port Harcourt, going to the Federal Government Girls College at Bloma. And from there, I did a bit when we were...
Unity School.
Yes, Up Unity. But I started off in Federal Government Girls College, Bida.
I see.
And then in my third year, I moved to Abloma.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went to Uniport as well, University of Port Harcourt.
And what did you study?
I did my first degree. I did management.
Okay.
So also an arm of business, really. So from there, so that's where I started off and that's where I lived. So from there, I now... graduated from Uniport, and then I started working in the bank literally immediately. I started off with the
So what's your position in the family?
The family, I'm the fourth.
Oh,
so I have
fourth.
two brothers, elder brother, one elder sister, then myself, and then another younger sister and younger brother. So we're 3 boys and 3 girls.
6?
Yes.
Big family.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Right. So then you started working in the bank, you said?
Yes. So I started off with the then first new generation bank, All States Trust Bank. I really have a lot of passion for that bank because everything I know in business and the discipline, the rigor, the visionary way of doing things, I actually learned from that first experience. So I worked with them for about 6 years, and then I moved to Intercontinental Bank, which is now Access Bank. And I was also with them until I then left the country to Germany with my husband and my family.
Okay, yeah. Why did you leave at that time? Was it him saying, oh yeah, we're going, follow me?
Yes, absolutely.
What was that about?
Yes,
and to Germany, where in Germany?
Heidelberg, to be specific. Okay. So yes, the move was based on my husband's needs. Right. He was going to do his specialization in obstetrics and gynecology. He's a medical doctor.
Okay.
And so at the time, we were a very young family. I had 3 girls already. My first daughter, Lily, she was 7. Pearl was 4. And Daisy was just 1.5.
Pretty girls. Wow.
Thank you. Pearl, because Daisy was just 1.5 years old. So, and I had just reached the level of assistant manager in the bank.
That's what I'm saying. That follow. So how was that for you? It's like, okay, my career has to stop. Yeah.
To be honest, for me, I took a decision to be a wife.
Right.
And to have a family. So for me, that came first. Every other thing was extra.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So it was not a difficult decision. Yes, I knew that I had to put that career on hold, but first and foremost for me was my family, and just, keeping, we needed to still build our union because it was a very young and fresh one, so that was the thought behind my decision. So I didn't feel like I was losing out on something, because for me, my family came first. Yes.
So now you moved to Germany.
Yes.
At that time, I know you can speak German now very well.
Yes.
You have to say a few things. I wouldn't even know how to answer. So let's not go there. Let me not disgrace myself.
Yeah.
But I know you speak fluently.
Yeah.
Okay. So before you moved there, you couldn't speak the language.
Not at all.
Did you know people there? At that time,
yes.
The weather? Okay,
yes. When I moved to Heidelberg, my own elder sister had been in Heidelberg already for a period. In fact, she was instrumental in getting that space for my husband to do his O&G. So I had her there,
Which I'm sure was very beneficial.
Very, very helpful and beneficial. So the first 3 months, we even patched up with her in her apartment before we got a place to move to. And so it was me and the girls, while my husband was in the Goethe Institute in Mannheim doing his language course. So we were doing a private language course in Heidelberg to also pick up on the language. So, I mean, I feel like if I could survive that move, I can survive anything in life, because moving to a totally new country, you could, language barrier. I mean, my sister was the only one I knew, and she was pretty busy with her masters as well in translations for French and German. So I was literally on my own. I had to, with three young kids, take them to school by bus. Wow. And be able to know where to stop and all of that. It was just crazy, I'm telling you. It was just crazy, but we managed, and that's what happens when you're very resilient and you're also determined, and just tell yourself, you know what, wherever I'm put out in the world, wherever I find myself, whatever it takes, I'm going to survive. So that's the spirit. How did you then end up in Cape Town?
When you just now saying, okay, we want to go back to Africa. How did you end up in Cape Town?
Not exactly. We've also, we've always had dreams for our family, right from when we were in Nigeria. Right. And I always share the story because I want a lot of young people to know that you have to start first by having dreams. I remember when we started off in Nigeria, my husband and I were a young couple. Like, he was a young doctor. His salary then was 6,000 naira. Wow. I was earning 1,250 as a copper. So you can imagine, we just had barely enough to survive, even though we came from fairly well-to-do families. But our own was very humble beginning. But we used to dream of our kids going to the best schools in the world. We used to dream about traveling the world. He would tell me, I'll take you places. Meanwhile, we couldn't even afford to pay air tickets to Lagos from Port Harcourt. We would take bus. Wow. But we were busy dreaming of going around the world and all kind of things, Okay. So, but those dreams we shared together helped us to be very open-minded and to recognize opportunities, So even when we moved to Germany, we saw that as an opportunity, one step closer to the dreams we had for our family. Now, when we got to Germany, it was really nice. In fact, for me, it's one of the most favorite periods of our time together. That's where we bonded as a family. It was just us. And then our trust in each other was just so cemented. Wow. We got to know ourselves intimately very well.
You had no choice. There was no other
choice. There was no
family system. Apart from your sister,
absolutely.
Who probably was busy
and already behaved like the German style, so minded her business. So it was just beautiful, and we got to know the potential of our kids. Wow. It was just incredible. So it was just still that thing about just looking for how to get to the point, where we wanted to be in life. And fortunately, he and some colleagues had to come to Cape Town for a program at Grotescare. Okay. And I had never even heard of Cape Town as such. I didn't really know anything about South Africa, to be honest. I was that ignorant at the time. So he came and he was blown away by the city.
Cape Town has that.
You know what I mean? That magic captivation
on everybody.
He was blown away by the city. He's like, my goodness, this is a beautiful city. It's like Europe in Africa. The infrastructure works, everything works, and it's such a lovely touristic place. So every day he will call us. They were there for 6 months for the program, and he'll be calling me, I'm at the waterfront, is this? So I said, you know what, I want to come and see this thing. So we are the girls, we're going to come for holiday once they have school holiday in August at the time. That was our summer holiday at the time. And then one day he now called and said, look, they have an incredible business school, the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business, and you've been wanting to do your MBA, you have to. I had done an MBA in Nigeria, but I didn't have time to do my project to finalize it before leaving for Germany. So he said, you're going to do a better MBA now. You have to come and all that. I said, I'm just settling now in Germany. I have friends now, and I speak the language. I'm just being, to move again. So he kept quiet. So anyway, I came with the girls in August. We spent a month for holiday with him, and met Dr. Femi, some other Nigerians he was working with, and other friends, Nomonde and the rest of them. And it was really, really nice. So I visited the business school as well. It was really amazing. My brother, my eldest brother, the first one, he had gone to Wharton Business School in University of Pennsylvania in the US. And so I called him. I said, have you ever heard of the University of Cape Town Graduate School? He said, oh, it's an amazing school. We do exchange program. We have students coming from there and to them, and that is one of the top business schools in Africa. So he gave a very good review of the school as well. So I said, okay, no problem. So I will think about it. But my husband didn't let me think about it. By the time we got back to Cape Town already, he started telling me, look, we have to plan to move. The standard of living here is less than, the cost of living is less than in Europe. And we can have a much bigger life. You can do way more. And the weather, all of that. I'm sure. Yeah, the weather was also amazing, So he was really, putting me under that kind of pressure. And then he said, look, I now found out that for me to even come to do that MBA, I have to do GMAT. I see. Back to school. So I was like, oh my goodness, I've been a housewife for like 4 years plus now. How do I go back into, all that? And, it's interesting because one of the questions I had to answer for the business school, because I had to do 5 essays actually. Right. And one of the essays was to talk about what I have been doing. That's like your business life, what you've been doing before now, because you need to have a minimum of 3 years work experience to be admitted. But then they want to know the gap period, because I already said, okay, yes, I've been working, I have all this experience, but in the last 4.5 years, I've been a housewife. So they want to know, okay, what have you been doing business-wise? And after thinking long and hard, I came out with an essay that I still pride myself with today. I shared with my daughters. And I said, you know what? I'm a housewife. And this is a job that a lot of people underrate. And it's a very, very powerful job. So I pitched myself as the MD CEO of my family. Wow. And then I was also doubling as the HR manager of the family as well, because I had to maintain good interpersonal relationship with my whole family and ensure that each person got what they deserved according to the work they put in the house. Then I was also the finance manager. So my husband, all the money we were using, I had to manage the finances. I had to ensure that we had enough money to survive every month and not, get stuck. And of course, manage the food, manage everything to be sure that all that was enough and sufficient for the family as well. So I wrote a really nice essay explaining my role in the business, with the business vocabulary and all that. So it was so important. And at the same time, I was also ensuring that, the whole family was moving forward. So we were productive. The girls were into sports, discovering new talents, new product development, more or less. Just making sure that all their talents. This is how you're coming with all. Yeah, we're coming out. So I had to be, do all of that as the MD CEO of my family.
I wouldn't have looked at it the way you've kind of turned it around there. The HR, the finance person. Wow.
That is what women do.
I know.
And a lot of times it's not really viewed in that light. And it's massive. Yeah. And you can imagine, so when a woman is able to do all of that in the home, she's most likely to succeed in business.
Exactly.
Because then you also learn to multitask. I often hear men say that multitasking is something that people do and they end up not doing
That's what they say.
anything.
They don't do anything.
And I smile to them because the men are not, they do not have it as a gift. You know, there are certain things that we come with as women and they come with as men.
Yes.
Multitasking is something a man cannot do, so he can never understand
They wouldn't
it.
agree with it.
Yes.
But
so
you know what?
Even in the business I've been doing, I hear that's all about. Yeah.
We'll be right back. We just need to stop for a minute. We'll be right back. Wow, what a journey from Lagos to Port Harcourt to Lagos, probably back again, and then to Germany, and then to Cape Town, and multitasking, playing various roles, MBA. So how did you get into business? Which year did you come to South Africa first? Let me just try and get that.
2005, January 15, 2005.
Oh, you even remember the date?
Yes,
oh my
absolutely.
word. Okay, I'm sure there's a story behind that one. But let's leave that. Okay, let's leave that one. So how did you get into business? Because yes, you were in the corporate, you know, in Nigeria, in the bank when you were working, and then you went to Germany, where you were an housewife, but an MD of the Owei family.
I was also doing my own small thing in Germany.
Oh, you were doing small things there.
Which I would share because I know, you know, people always feel too big to do stuff because you've graduated, you have this and that, but there's dignity in labor. Exactly. So I've always been used to having my own money because I graduated at 21 and I was a copper. So I started earning my small stipend from that age, you know. Now, in Nigeria, from being a banker, I was exposed to a lot of different customers. And I saw how people who were doing projects and contracts were making a lot of money and at the same time impacting the environment. So though my husband was a doctor then, I also told him, I said, look, this is your doctor salary, can't go far for this.
How much did you say? 6,000
naira. So I said, I think we should register a company so that we can start doing all these small supplies and all of that to aid all these things that we're planning to achieve for ourselves and all of that. So we got married in 93. In 94, we set up our first company called Avondale Services and Supplies Limited. It's now a very big company. In 1994. So that was where we started our entrepreneurial journey already. And then, of course, he also did the MBA with me in Nigeria at the time, University of Science and Technology in Rivers State, then UST. So that also broadened his own mindset, even though he was a doctor, as to how, you know, running a business could be and just becoming an entrepreneur and all of that. So he really caught on to it. He did extremely well in that program. So from that 1994, we started doing small supplies, small contracts. If I have any leads from the bank, if I see anything that is moving and happening, I will let him know. And fortunately, he has a lot of goodwill from his own personality and his profession. So he had people in positions that could give him access to opportunities. And so that's how we started. Yes, that is it. You know, what people don't realize is goodwill, network is literally your net worth. So that's how he got most of... got access to opportunities to actually do business and all. But by the time we now moved to Germany and he was doing his program and he was now seeing how things can be done, you know, differently. While we were in Germany, he came up with different ideas and proposals which he felt will benefit our people. You know, so for business, you do well when you actually identify problems and find solutions for those problems. Exactly. So that was what he was doing. So he designed the very first ambulance boats for riverine areas because he's from Bayelsa. And so he knows that all those areas, they really don't have access to ambulances. So you have the land ambulances for the road, but those places you use boats to access them. Most of those places don't have roads yet, you know. So he designed it and was just waiting for the opportunity to build and supply. And eventually that came from the Bayelsa State government, from Rivers State government as well. And now we're doing some for Nnewi, the National Inland Waterways Agency as well. So
the first ambulance boat.
Yes. So we did the first 7 from Germany. When we came to South Africa, we had the opportunity to do another 15 supply to River State as well, and he's done a couple now for Nnewi.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where that business journey started. So way back, because we always, wanted to have more and do more and, give more to the children as well. Yes.
So now in Cape Town,
yes,
I know you ran a guest house,
yes,
a tourist, medical tourism. And now you're into mobile, in terms of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So tell us, about some of those businesses and some of the challenges you had, just briefly, and how you managed to overcome them.
Very good. Okay, so when we came to Cape Town after doing my MBA, while I was doing my MBA, I actually started off with KD's Financial Strategist. I wanted to go back into corporate, but asset management. But after I worked for a month, I realized that I couldn't do the corporate thing anymore. I was so used to having my time freedom, just, being able to be there for my family. So I knew that I needed to do something for myself. So fortunately, my husband had already now had so much trust and confidence in me, and he was able to set me up to start off the guest house. So initially, we started off with the medical tourism. So the first 6 months, from August to December, I started bringing patients from Nigeria for medical treatment. And that idea actually dropped from my MBA, because in Germany, we hosted a lot of family that came for medical treatment.
Right.
And it was done like just helping family.
Yeah.
There was no money to
involved.
it, nothing.
Yes.
Now, when I was doing the MBA, we used to have people come from the business world to chat with us and share their own journeys with us as well. And there was this lady, Linda, that came from the UK, and she was bringing people from the UK to Cape Town for plastic surgeries.
Okay.
Boob jobs and other things, not people that needed, they were sick, but people just enhancement. And while she spoke to us, the coin dropped for me, because I knew that my own country, my own people, a lot of people needed real medical services that were not available at the time back home. So that was what I now built my concept around, to do the exact same thing, which I knew I did very well in Germany, just helping
but
people,
not being paid for it.
And so
now monetize
I monetize my business. I love that word you use, monetize, because now I say to people, monetize your lifestyle because of what I do now.
Okay.
So anyway, so that was how I started that off. And when I saw that it was doing very well, I did 12 patients from August to December in 2006. And then in December, I now did like a feedback from my patients. And most of them were like, you need to have your own guest house instead of putting us up in other places. We want to have access to Nigerian food when we're recuperating. And most of the cases I did then were orthopedic cases. So they stayed for 6 months, 3 months. So just not having access to our food.
Nigerians can't joke with them. We can't joke with them. They
can't do without their food.
So the need
was what led to me starting off the guest house. So we started off with the first property that had 5 bedrooms, and it was always full with only patients. I didn't even have space for for tourists. Yes. But in December, I noticed that when you want to bring cases in December, the people are reluctant. They don't want to spend Christmas in hospital. So usually from towards the end of November and December, I'm not able to. I have patients to be treated, but they don't want to come. They want to come in January after Christmas. So they want to see the end of the year. So it's interesting, the culture and the way people think. But, so that was when I walk out of my country and come back. Not for Christmas. What if I go for this treatment and I don't survive? So it was interesting to observe that. And so that was when I started looking. So as you were going,
you were even checking, getting feedback and the business and looking for, And
the first challenge, let me come to the challenge. The first challenge I faced when I now wanted to open the guest house was the city of Cape Town, of course, and the neighbors,
Right.
So I had a serious challenge with that because they came up with, all sorts of laws and stuff like that, even though I knew there were a lot of other B&Bs in the environment that did not even have approval to do what they were doing. But, from an MBA background, I know that I want to legalize my business, of course.
Yes.
And so knowing your laws in the environment in which you operate is so important. So what I did then was you have the Department of Trade and Industry that want to encourage investors from other countries to come in. You have the Land and Housing that want to be so bureaucratic and all of that. So I went to the Trade and Industry Department and showed them the problem that I was having, showed them how much I was investing, over $500,000 to start off this business. And they now pitched, it was now the two departments in government pitched against themselves. So they put a stay on Land and Housing from preventing me to operate for a whole year until the matter was resolved, because they wanted to close.
Must have been frustrating.
Yeah, no, they wanted to close me in the first 3 months, but they stopped it.
Okay,
and said that they put a hold on that and they said she's allowed to operate until we resolve our issue together between themselves. And so that was the big help. And it was, if I didn't have this MBA that I did here, to be honest, I would not have had the wisdom to find the solution that way, you know. So, and you know, starting off a business in a country where you didn't go to school, you have no, you know, friends from this, and the only people I really knew were my MBA colleagues. And they were very happy for me that I started off. They came for the opening and all, but that was as far as it went, you know. Exactly. So one then had to go through that every day, just networking, going for as many business breakfast meetings that I could. Anything that was happening, I had to find my way to be there. So
that way you're learning more, you're gaining
more, meeting people, sharing what I do. And one thing that I can tell you, whatever business you are doing, you have to know how to sell yourself like a pro. So that elevator pitch that we were taught in the MBA was just golden. Crucial. Yes. Yeah. So everywhere I went, I had to sell myself like a pro. Even with the medical tourism as well. Who did I know here? Yes, my husband was a doctor, but still, you know, it's not the same thing. And, you know, whenever I have new cases, I have to find which will be the right doctor for this, you know, and how do I get him to want to listen to me and take care of my patients and give me immediate appointments and just, you know, do the seamless thing that I was offering to my patients. And the MBA was a very big thing because UCT MBA is very well respected. So when I book the appointment and I, you know, walk in, the first thing is I just drop my card in front of you. And once they see you, okay. And they want to listen to you. So over the years, I was able to build my own reputation, my own integrity as well. And they saw that all the patients I brought, we paid all the bills and, you know, kept them informed, and everything was just, you know, nicely run as well. Right. So all the other challenges came along the way, like with staffing issues, you train and retrain, the labor laws here, always, now I'm speaking from the side of the employer. I feel it's always on the, you know, in favor of the employee without real justification, you know. People want to earn money without putting in the work. One thing that is undeniable in business is work. Yeah. You have to put in the work. You know, so whether you're the owner or you are the employee. The other thing I will also say is, I also knew that for my business to succeed, I needed to be able to do everything about that business. I needed to know about it because of the nature of the business. I needed to know how to do the rooms myself and decorate it the way I wanted, how to make the breakfast, how to serve my people, how to just make sure that I could run that business. Should I come out one morning and nobody showed up,
you can make
something happen. Wow. So I made sure. And so the way I also trained my staff, if you were in admin, when you start off, you have 3 months training where you will do the admin on, you know, training, but you will also train with the cleaners, train in the kitchen, train everywhere.
So that you become an all-rounder and you can cover for each other. Wow,
yes. And that also helped a lot of them when they actually moved on to be able to, you know, do other things for themselves as well. Yeah.
You know what? We're going to be right back and just stop for a quick break and see some of your work.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. My name is Ngozika Owei and I'm based in Cape Town, South Africa. I saw this incredible concept literally a year and 3 months ago, and it completely blew my mind. I was super excited. Prior to that, I was running my own 4 stars, 12-bedroom guest house in Cape Town. And of course, I have a business degree and an MBA as well. And just 2 years before that, my business started struggling because we had a new app that came into play and literally took 60% of our market share. So I knew that I needed to move on to something else. And I was so glad when I saw this, because through this concept in the last last 1 year, I've been actually able to sell my business, which I got that done in April. I do this full time now. I've achieved the level of marketing director, and I'm able to literally travel the world in style for less and earn in US dollars. This has been an absolutely incredible opportunity. I just want to encourage you to take a look and join us, and welcome to the club. Thank you.
What a journey still, in terms of your business and, what you've had to do, the start, with seeing the needs, at such an early age as well, and using education as well, to navigate yourself while in Cape Town. But I remember you mentioned something about dignity in labor before we went on the break.
Yeah.
So, what was it you were doing then in Germany? And then I want you now to share with us some of it you've already started talking about, life lessons in terms of business, what tips you can give. Yeah. And as well, sorry, this one is a big one that I want to just start thinking.
Along the way,
I'll remind
so
you.
I don't forget.
And then, in terms of being okay, let me stop there. Let's do that one first.
Okay.
So that I don't confuse that. So what were you doing in Germany?
Okay, yeah. So when I got to Germany and I had to be a housewife, because I was always used to having my own money and also wanting to contribute to my family's finances and not have all the pressure on my husband, I decided that I will, in my free time. In fact, what happened was I made my children's hair myself.
Right, okay.
So I learned to make hair in secondary school, in boarding school. So I could braid, I could do cornrows, I could fix weave on myself and stuff. So
those were skills you probably
didn't even know I would
ever use. You will need to use at a later date.
Well, I didn't know then, but I
know.
That's
what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly. So nothing is lost.
Exactly.
So I learned that in school, and then it was so useful for me in Germany. So I would even wash and roll my own hair and sleep with the rollers overnight and then do my full curls in the morning. So when I started making my daughter's hair, I have 4 beautiful girls. And each time they go to school, people are always admiring their hair. They're not used to that as well. So her friends were like, oh, can your mommy make her hair like this and all? And these are white children. And I told her, yes, her mommy can make your hair. Tell them. And I charge so much. And then I tell, so when they approach me, I'll tell them, okay, I need a permission from your parents. Okay. And this is the amount. And that was how I started making hair. Wow. So they will come to the house, because I then got pregnant for Cassandra in Germany. Right. So they will come to the house, I will make their hair, and they will be so excited. I charge 50 euros.
I was just going to say, that one wasn't free.
No. The only person I actually gave a free hairdo was Jessica. Okay. Lily's very good friend. Okay. So hers was the first one I did, and she was marketing it everywhere. She was an amazing person. She's even visited us in Cape Town as well. So they've kept in touch all this while. Right. So she was amazing. Yeah, so through her, we got a lot of other children, and of course through my daughters as well, and I was making hair. Wow. So you don't, I mean, at the end of the day, there's dignity in labor. Yeah. I would rather use my hands, my brain, or whatever it is, than go begging, or sitting there and, being under unnecessary pressure. So we need to learn to, just open up ourselves and do what we need to do to take care of our families.
So you've shared a lot of tips along the way, and I just telling you viewers, you need to rewind, just to go back again if you started watching now. What are the other business, tips that you will give somebody who is maybe starting up in business? Just that you haven't shared already, because you've shared so much. The networking, the fact that you need to learn more, the fact that, So what other business tips do you want to share?
Or
life lessons.
Yeah, so many things. In business, you will always look at yourself as someone who is still learning. You must always believe also that you can learn even from your employees. Yes, you are the boss, but every human being comes with something that you don't have. And you have to be able to identify what that human being can bring to the table. So I'm always open to learning new things, always making my, people I work with to know, look, this can't succeed without you. We need to see what you can put in that I don't even have any idea about. So just knowing that you should constantly be learning. Then also knowing that you need to want, when you're doing business, like the way what has helped me to succeed is I want it like there's no tomorrow. Don't do stuff like, okay, let's see whether it's going to work. No.
So you have to be hungry for it.
You have to be hungry for it. And nobody can bring up that hunger except yourself. And so that hunger is what drives you. If you do anything and you feel, oh, I'm just doing it for the sake of, you will never get to the peak of it and have the fullest benefit of it. But think about an animal in the forest. When is it able to, whenever you see an animal fight for survival, the way they fight for survival or fight for food, they do that because their life depends on this thing. Yeah. And that's where you see the best performance from them, because it's a do or die affair. It's a survival matter. So that's the state of mind, your mindset, I've also learned that in business, everything is mindset. If you think failure, you fail. If you think problems will come. So whatever hits you, you must maintain a positive outlook. You must maintain a positive outlook. I remember when I started off the guest house and people came to look at it, some of my neighbors then who also had a guest house, I used to put some patients in her guest house. She came and she said, oh, your rooms are too classy and they'll be too expensive. No one is going to pay for it. I said, well, that should be good for you, because then everybody will lodge with you. I said, that should be good for you, Catherine. You shouldn't worry about this. Everyone will then be lodging with you. But I knew that I was
the market that you
it's the market you want. Yeah. So you work for the market you want. So you don't let any negativity from any angle deter you. So many other things that, I experienced, even when I decided that the restaurant part of it will be only by appointment, because I didn't want the guest lodging to be disturbed by the restaurant. So people were like, how can you do that? Nigerians will not book appointment. They will just come. I said, well, if they come without booking the appointment, there will be no food. So for a whole 6 weeks, I was turning people down and saying that we are fully booked for the restaurant when we were not booked, because I needed to instill what I wanted. And before you knew it, if you don't book,
got used to it.
If you don't book, you won't be able to eat this place. And then it started running nicely that way. So you need to know what you want and shut out the noise and walk towards what you want and bring it about. You need to always have that hunger for to succeed in what you do.
So I know there's probably still a lot there, because that one you could have a program on it. But I want to go a little bit now deeper into, things. I know we spoke about challenges and, some of the challenges you've had, but I want to be specific now, as a Nigerian who, comes into South Africa, and you've already seen the need and the opportunities, and you've started. Have you experienced any form of discrimination or encountered, anything in terms of as a woman, even as a woman, maybe not even as a Nigerian, or of others that have experienced, and how did they cope with it?
To be honest, I can't really say that I have experienced any form of discrimination. I have to be honest about it.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would say was in terms of the corporates, we used to have a lot of corporates use the guest house because, when Booking.com and all, they will send people to you during our summer, but during our winter, they're sending people to Europe. People are not coming here. So to keep your bums on bed, we had to find other ways, get involved, linked to corporates, so that when the people are coming from other cities in South Africa to Cape Town, they use your place, So, but what I find is, of course, which I guess is probably natural, we start off with them, but once they have their own person, like someone from South Africa or their own people, they would cut your contract and then use them. I experienced that a lot. As we had more people open up in Pinelands who were, son of the soil, as we will say, I just kept losing a lot of these corporates because they were now giving those business to those people. So that was really sad as well, because we offered even better services in some situations, but just simply because we were not South African, we were not able to have access to that business anymore.
Right. So I know you closed your guest house and you kind of stopped the medical tourism, and you're into even more fun kind of mobile business, as you call it. And I think maybe because you're beautiful, intelligent, smart, princesses have living no more, have left home. So now you believe you can fly. Tell us about, what are you doing now?
In fact,
and why did you close the business?
Yes, this is a very, very important question. And I'm saying this because if anyone told me I'll be doing this, I'll probably say, not on your life. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that, one has been corporate traditional business and all of that. But by the 2018, I started realizing that it was time to move on from what I was doing. The stress was getting too much, number one, and the returns was no longer worth it. There were a lot of factors that came into play, even for the medical tourism. We had India come into the Nigerian market and diverted a lot of patients that way. And also the economy was not as good as it used to be, so people can't even afford even when they need. So when you send your quotes, you have a lot of inquiries, but not actually translating to business. So I knew it was time to move on to something else. And at that point also, because I had gone through all the issues of staffing, training and retraining, losing staff, and it was just too much. I started telling my children I needed to do something that was me, my computer, and I. I knew there was this whole world of mobile business that, I was being monetized by the mobile world. And I was saying to myself, how can I get a share of this money from the mobile world? Because we're spending money on data, we're always on social media and all. People are making money from us somehow.
Yes.
How can I also make money from that world of business? And it was in that space, because my mind was now opened in a different way. I came up, my friend whom I did my MBA with actually introduced me to the network marketing industry.
Okay.
Now, why did I say
2018?
2018, yes. 13th of October 2018 precisely was when I started.
How do you remember all dates?
Those dates are landmarks in my life. So I remember all the landmarks of major changes that happened in my life. And honestly, the first thing that struck me when I analyzed that business model, which unfortunately a lot of people have wrong impression about, because they liken it to all sorts of things, pyramid scheme and all. They don't really know the real definition of a pyramid scheme. So they brand all those things together. But if you look at the network marketing model, even from an MBA point of view, the first thing, which is so powerful, that a lot of people have missed out on, which the likes of Warren Buffett and the top, billionaires in the world already have picked up, is one is the power of leverage.
Yeah.
Now, let's think about the business that I ran, and I looked at myself. I am the owner of the business. Most of the business that comes in is through my, my activity and all of that. Yeah. And I can only work for maybe 18 hours a day, 12 to 18 hours a day if I'm killing myself. You know what I mean? And then, and that's it. But with the network marketing model, you are leveraging off the power of your network. And so when you start off the business, and you get other people who are also interested in that business to join you as business partners. They're not employees. No. You have no control over them. But they also have the desire and the hunger to be successful through the platform.
And they need to put the work.
And they need to put the work in. So if I have 50 business partners working with me, and each of us put in an hour a day sharing that concept and getting people to join us, that's 50 hours of work in a day. Only have
you don't translate them.
We have only 24 hours in a day.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So
I'm getting it.
Now, as you build that business, you start having 780, 2,000. I have well over 2,000 business partners on my platform. That is each person putting an hour a day, 2,000 hours of work a day. And of course, if I were working for someone, I would put in 8 hours a day. So if I'm working for myself, the least I can put for my is 8 hours a day. So think about 2,000 people.
Multiply
yes.
That. Wow.
Or those doing it part-time, 4 hours a day, times how many of us? So that in itself is mega. Now, if you come to patronize me, let's say I was even doing buying and selling, you buy a phone from me, you're excited, you walk out. That's it. But if I sign you up onto my network, I haven't signed you up, I have signed up your entire phone book. Because I will then teach you and help you to share the same thing I've shared with you with all your contacts.
Yes.
So I'm not selling to one person, I'm selling to a whole. The other thing I saw was freedom. I decided to do my own business because I wanted time freedom. But when you're the business owner, Time freedom is still a myth. You can reckon with that, with what you do, because you are literally doing everything. You first person to wake up, last person to sleep. I mean, I know how many times I'll wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the guest house to open for someone who left their keys and went partying. You know what I mean? So it doesn't end. But with this, because you're not the only one, you're leveraging of that network. So while I'm sleeping in Cape Town, I have business partners in the US who are working in their own time zone, and I'm still recording sales and making money. So you're earning while you sleep. You're also able to sit in an environment, but you have global partners. You have business partners in different parts of the world doing this business with you as well. So I saw all of this. It ticked all the boxes. Then, of course, it also enabled me to be able to travel the world, be where I want.
Wish you were here, making all of us jealous.
You know what I mean? So that for me, I mean, we have been a travel family. We've loved to travel and just see and explore the world,
just
expose the kids and everything. So that were all the boxes it ticked for me, and I could work from my PC, work from my phone. I could work while sitting on the beach, just checking and you know, messaging and all. Technology was just on the fingertips. Everything we did was with technology,
and COVID. It was as if you were preparing. It was preparing you for COVID.
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because I sold my guest house in 2019. April and September, we sold the 2 properties. And by March 2020, we had a lockdown. So I call it grace, to be honest. I cannot tell you that I knew what was going to happen, but it was just the grace of the Almighty. And that's what happens also when you open when you're open. That being open is so important. A lot of us are closed. We're prejudiced. We only see things from one, mirror. And so you miss out all the opportunities that have been lined up. People are constantly praying for open doors and help. But how are you ready to actually see the door that is open for you? So it's important for people to open up from inside. Sometimes you also feel, oh, this is what I want. And this is what you want, but is that what the Almighty is showing you? They're two different things. So most times when you are praying for all the help, trust in the help of the Almighty. That He knows what is best for you. That way, your own thing that you're hung up on is not blocking your view to recognize whatever else it is that He's showing you that, okay, I know you want this, but this is going to work for you better. And sometimes even those roads are stepping stones to even where you want to be. Sometimes you want this, but you need to go through this path to get there. But if you shut yourself, you will never be able to start that journey, and you will still be stuck. So it's really important.
You know what? I've been told we need to take a quick break, so we'll be right back. Power of leverage. I think that's what stood out for me, and what you've shared there. The fact that, yes, at the time, you with the guest house and the business, it was as if God as well, there was a lot of things playing out, because you listened to what you were feeling, and as well as probably the direction God was taking you, and you wanted growth. You wanted, I think what you said, particularly there, I'm trying to remember the exact phrase you used, that you wanted something, it was time to move on. That was the phrase, that it was time to move on. So now you've journeyed through this network marketing and you've turned it around, and you make it so beautiful. And I'm sure there'll be people who will be wanting to know, how do I get in there, boss lady? How do I get in there? But we will be sharing your details at the end. So you are working on a particular product and a particular kind of serial business even now. So share that with us. And
Okay, so I started off with travel only. So I would share to people how they can travel the world in style for so much less. And then when the pandemic hit, another opportunity opened up.
Very versatile woman.
I'm telling you can't allow yourself to get beaten down. You have to find a way to keep surviving, because things will keep happening. Every time. After COVID, something else will come up. So how do you keep moving in the midst of all of that? And so fortunately, our company now merged us with a company that is into skincare and supplements, health supplements. And then I looked at it. Initially, I didn't want to have physical products I was, having to share with people. And even though I was big on skincare, something I'm very passionate about for myself, because I had a lot of pimples and blackheads as a teenager, which affected my self-esteem then. Okay. So when I started growing up...
This is your fine face?
Yes. I used to be called the red-nosed pimple girl in secondary school.
Oh.
So it was only when I turned 16.
They are wicked,
terrible. It was terrible.
Red-nosed
plus Omo Pupa and all of that, Okay. So my face would be all red because I'll be picking the pimples and all that, So by the time I turned 16, my face started clearing up a bit. But when I now started having my own pocket money, I was big on my skin. I took care of my skin very well. So even up till when I became a woman, I would use the big brands. Even South Africa, I was using Nnewi for quite a while, which is a very big brand. And, Neutrogena, Clarins. Right. I've used all of them, Dermalogica as well. But I also knew this brand that I'm working with now, which is Secret.
Okay.
It's made from the Dead Sea minerals.
How is it spelled?
SEA, as in sea.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yes, SEACRET. It's made from the Dead Sea in Jerusalem. So already we know that is a natural gift from nature. So what I saw with this concept was you have the skincare products from the Dead Sea. We had the organic health products that were purely plant-based. No sugar, no whey protein, no dairy, gluten-free, soy-free. So absolutely clean form of health supplements, which we all need because we know that we don't have the right food anymore. Our food is already being tampered with, and all of that. So we need these supplements for our health. And then we had the travel too. So a company that had these three important things under one roof. Normally, I would look for all these things in different places, but now I have it together in one roof. And so those who were not interested in travel at the time or felt, even if I join this club, I may never travel, I'll just be paying subscription, they might lend themselves to the skincare or to the health. Right. So you have a buffet of things for people to choose from, or like me, I want to have it all. So I enjoy all three of them, you understand? So it's really been an amazing journey for me again. Right. Just sharing these three concepts with people and just seeing how I'm able to impact people through this. That's another thing I didn't bring out from the network marketing. With my business, I had 12 staff maximum working for me. Those were the 12 families I was impacting. With this opportunity,
translates to others,
yes. But with this opportunity, I have over 2,000 people now in my network.
Which now even translates to
It's not only helping people earn an extra stream of income, helping people with health issues or skin problem. We also have a lot of personal development training that comes with building this business. Because it's a mindset business. It's not 20% is the actual mechanics, 80% is the mindset. So the training is another part that gives me a lot of fulfillment. So it's so surprising how much you can impact people with things that you take for granted. Think about Nigerians and how confident we are, how this and that. Some people struggle with it. So when you do a training that helps someone build up self-confidence and respect and self-belief, and that alone, and that person is now moving mountains with it, the joy you feel, you can't even quantify it. So the money takes a backseat. It's now what you see.
It's no longer what's driving you. But when
it goes beyond it. Initially, I started off with the money we're earning in dollars and spending in rand or in naira, so you can imagine.
Which is big money.
Which is great. Which is so great. But then the other things that now started rippling out of this whole thing was what just like, and on top of that, I have my time freedom. I can walk from anywhere I want to be. I can be with anyone I want to be. I can travel the world and save a lot of money doing so. I mean, people follow me on social media and they're always like, Ziggy, where in the world are you right now? How are you able to this, that? But I'm not paying what you think I'm paying for this. There's a system. There's a possibility. And this can be for everyone if you open yourself to it.
Interesting. I think we need a special program and training program on secret or network marketing or being a mobile
Mobile
entrepreneur. No, honestly.
Yes.
So maybe we need
It's
to,
the future,
to have a part 2
It's the future.
where that will be
Yes.
what you will
I can
share
talk
as
about,
well.
yes.
If you don't mind,
I don't
as a
mind
master
at all.
class.
I don't mind
Okay.
at all. I'll be very
We've
glad.
booked you
it
already.
will be such an honor. It will be such an honor to do that.
So let me. There's a last question. I know we're probably going over time. Which I'm getting used to, even though my
Because you
technical
have incredible people on your interview. I've listened to quite a number of them, and they're just amazing. So much nuggets to take away from them.
Thank you. Yeah. So this one is, I want to bring us back now to being in South Africa, or being a Nigerian and an African. Yeah. Where we have a lot of social issues. From poverty, unemployment, gender-based violence, and so much, disparity between the rich and the poor, health challenges, infrastructure. I could go on and on. Yeah. Is there any issue for you that you're passionate about? And I know you've supported your daughters with the project when they had a project they were doing in the community. Mm-hmm. So is there any project that any social issue, that you're kind of keen on? I've had people say, I want something to be done with the elderly. What are we doing with the elderly? What are we doing with the men or boys, and so on. So is there any issue that speaks to you? And what are the solutions to, how can we promote that solution? So I need you to tell me what the issue is, and then what do you think can be done about that so that people can hear?
I mean, this is a very, very important question, because at the end of the day, if you're not impacting your environment in whatever you do, to be honest, I'm not sure how much contribution one can really make. And there's recently I got connected with a gentleman on a trip I made to Austria, and he shared with me about a lady he met online that is actually doing great work in Cape Town. I'm yet to meet her, and what she's doing really resonated with me, and I would love to, lend my support in any way and just be helpful. One, because like I told you, I'm passionate about being a wife and a mother. Those two things I really enjoy, and I gave it my all, even while doing my business. Secondly, the young people in our environment or in our society are the people that will become the adults tomorrow. Yeah. So a lot of the things we see going wrong now is because we have failed ourselves from the family circle to actually, nurture and raise the tomorrow the way it should be done. So when you have everyone out there and no one paying attention to that unit, so everything starts from the family unit. Now this lady, she helps young girls who get pregnant to become good mothers. And so that's another angle. It's not just saying, how do you help them get another person to take care of this child and all of that so they can go back to school and all. You have now taken this decision, you've made the mistake, or to have the child before you were ready, maybe 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old. How can you now look at that as a good place to be, love this child, and be a good mother to this child so that the history does not repeat itself? If you notice with all these problems, it's a vicious circle. So we have to find a way to break that vicious circle. So that's something I know that I'm really, really interested in. It's not my idea, like I said, it was from this lady, but I'm really excited to work with her and to support. And one way we can really solve some of these problems, like you said, is exactly this issue of, like her, trying to get as many mentors as possible to mentor these young people. And to trust, share, and encourage and share that our own experiences and processes with them, and hope that in the absence of that proper family unit to actually nurture the future of tomorrow, we're able to step in and begin to give back in that sense. So everything starts from that family unit. That's the way I look at it. Yes,
it's I know but I need to say this because it's interesting you brought that up with young pregnant girls, because some of the work Bold Move does is in schools. And I know of cases, of a lot of young girls that dropped out, based on getting pregnant. And a lot of them with beautiful future, with so much, to offer, talented because they've been involved, in music and art and other things that we do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that there are more people, who are helping to see what can be done in terms of how could we encourage them. It doesn't become a circle, maybe from their mother or their grandmother. And to some extent, what I hear in cases is, I might be wrong, and this is just allegedly, is because of the grant, that they get, from. And some of them don't think about how much is the grant, $350 or whatever. And because of that, the nappies alone, the babies alone. So, but like what you're saying, mentoring, who can be mentors, for them. And I believe some mentors, could be the women as well who have experienced it themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Who had, and it was a mistake, but a mistake does not mean your life should stop. You never know. And especially with that child, where the child too does not feel, So, wow, I will be looking forward to coming back to hearing more, about that support. Because sometimes in life we think, okay, we should all be the one coming up with ideas. But it's getting to a stage where, no, we don't need to be the one to identify a problem or come up with ideas, but we can support, which is what you're doing. So you've heard about this lady, and you're like going to offer whatever support in any way that you can that will still, resonate with you, and you'll feel you're still impacting, life. So
absolutely.
Madam Ziggy Owei, boss lady, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it's been a great conversation and hearing your stories.
Thank you.
We've known each other for a while. Some I didn't know, and I've known, now based on this, because when we met, it's about social issues
and all that.
just
absolutely.
being in each other's lives, walking the journey with our children, and our partners. So now it's good to get that perspective, in terms of what is this lady about in terms of business, so, and that's why we're so glad to have you here today. People might think, you're making money, it's just for you. No, but like you said, you've got 2,000 business partners who have families, who have, people that depend on them. And the businesses you've actually had here, for the time that they were here, they made impact.
Absolutely, 14 years.
They made impact. So kudos, to you. I celebrate you. I celebrate your husband, our dear Doc, for always being there, because you can't do this as well without having the support, and genuine support.
Absolutely.
And the children.
Absolutely.
And your mom and your siblings. So I can go into your support network. So kudos, and I just want to appreciate them as well for allowing you to fly.
Thank you.
And
that's very
don't
important.
forget us, though.
No,
when you're up there, when you are there with Warren Buffett and Co.
Now. We are always there for bold moves. I mean, what you're doing in the society, in our environment, is incredible. Mama K, you are just, what we call you now.
Anyway, no, it's not about me. Let's turn the table around. So now, in closing, I want to say this. In closing, I know you've given a lot of tips and shared lessons on your story, but in closing, I want you to address a particular grouping of people. It could be the young girls, that you've mentioned, who are pregnant or struggling or about, I don't know, whoever you want to, young people, or whoever you want to speak to. I just want you to give a word of encouragement, and I want you to do that directly to them.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, what I'd like to say, which is something that I have just recently come to recognize, is that, it's important for us not to become slaves to our certificates. I'm big on education. I've always been an advocate of education. My kids have gone to the best schools and all of that, but I've also come to recognize that some people are not also born into, to go into that line of upbringing, education, formal education. There are many forms of education. And even when you have gone through the formal education, you have your certificate and all of that, open up yourself and see what other gifts that you've come with. that you could also use to not only help yourself but also impact the world in a very big way. So the formal education, as we know, it is very important, it's very good, it gives you a very solid foundation, but don't become a slave to it. The world is changing. The kind of jobs or the kind of projects required now is changing. Look at the society in which we are today. What are the problems? What are the solutions? Sometimes your certificate may not be the way to solve it, but you are a slave to it, and so you're not able to see it. So let's become more open-minded. Let's become more, let's listen more inwardly and see what paths we're meant to follow to actually impact our world and our environment as well. And to the young people out there, there is no shortcut in life. There are many ways, yes, to get to a final destination, but there is no shortcut. You have to know that working, put it in work is really the only way to success. You can work hard, you can also work smart, but whichever way you call it, remember that the word work always comes in. So whether you're working hard or you're working smart, you are working. There must be work there. So there's no other way to have sustainable success and inner fulfillment without putting in the work. So that is one thing I would like to leave you all with. Thank you so much.
Deep stuff, eh? See how you came up with even more deep stuff. Work hard, work smart.
Yeah. Because you can work smart, but you must work.
Yep, yeah. Put in the work and don't be slaves to your certificate.
That is so important.
It is
a
important.
lot of us are like that, and we're not able to do anything else.
Yeah.
And you just carry that paper up and down. You're not able to even see other ways that you can just flourish. Yeah. A lot of people, if you look at people who are doing so well, some of them don't even have that paper certificate. Yeah. But you go and sit down. That's what shook me in this industry. I go for a training, the person training me does not have a university degree, but I cannot deny that the things he has told me, the things that I've gained from it, what it can be in my personal life, my business, and all of that. So I'm just learning to become more open-minded.
You're learning, unlearning.
Yes, relearning. Thank you.
Okay, let's go into another one. I'm going to be in trouble now. Into part 2 now.
Yeah,
we're coming back for part 2.
Wow, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Such a blessing being here.
Thank
you so much. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Until part 2
thank you very
of our
much.
business tips on network marketing.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that's all we've got time for. And thank you for staying till the end to watch this, because most of what we've discussed have been an eye-opener, even for me. I keep learning, each day. Remember, this is Mama K, and I'm signing off. That God is love. Until next time, love you all, and stay safe. Stay blessed. Till next time.